اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وبارك على سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. أما بعد إني أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله. To proceed, I remind myself and you all of the importance of taqwa of Allah, that is mindfulness or reverential consciousness of Allah. قال الله تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. وقال الله تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم وما يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. Allah says, believers, have taqwa of Allah and speak words which hit the mark. He will put your actions right for you and forgive you your wrong deeds. All who obey Allah and His Messenger have attained a great attainment. Alhamdulillah. Initially, I wanted to speak about preparation for Ramadan, but unfortunately, with the tragic and violent events that occurred in Sri Lanka last week, is that I felt compelled to try to share some thoughts on those events. And when what happened in New Zealand happened, I also tried to share some thoughts of how we process these occurrences as believers. And unfortunately, what happened now in Sri Lanka is that Muslims are not the victims, but the alleged perpetrators are, not only are they from this religion, but they actually are claiming that this was done in the name of the religion. And this is very troubling and disturbing. So how do we make sense of this chaos? How do we make sense in the mosques and churches and synagogues? Is that these are supposed to be places that are respected. These are supposed to be, regardless of people's beliefs, these are supposed to be sanctuaries. So when did it become justified for someone to enter a mosque or a church or a synagogue and commit acts of violence, the worst acts of violence? These are cowardly acts. Right? These are cowardly acts. And my own personal understanding is that the modern curse or the modern scourge of this age is ideologies. And people, instead of taking their Islam for their own self-improvement and for their own purification of the heart and for their own development, is that unfortunately they take it as an ideology, a political ideology. And what is an ideology, if you even think about the word, is that they don't want to look at the facts, the reality of the matter, is that they seek to impose their ideal on the world, regardless of the consequences, regardless of the means. Is that as long as the end is justified, as long as the end is noble, the means don't matter. Now, this is an ideology. And if you look at it, is that there's different types of manifestations of ideology. Right? There's extremists who are Muslim, there's extremists who are Christian, Jewish, there's extremists who are Buddhists, Hindus extremists, there's even secular extremists. Right? And they all share in a lot of common attributes, and they all have these similarities, because they're all these political ideologies. One that you'll find across the board is that they view the world as a dichotomy. It's black and white. There's no nuances whatsoever. We're this group and everyone else is against us, you're either with us or you're against us. And there's no nuances whatsoever. It's black and white. And then based on that, for some reason, they're the ones who are right. The haqq is on their side. Almost as a guarantee that the haqq is on their side and everyone else is on falsehood. Another trend or similarity that you'll find is that they're anti-traditional. They don't have roots in the traditional. Where did they come from? Where are their teachers? What school, where did they come from? Where is their sanad? Where is their chain of transmission that they have from the Prophet ﷺ? Because oftentimes, these individuals, they don't have any teachers. They don't have any teachers whatsoever. They don't have any foundation. One of them that went to join one of these armies is that the last thing that he did is he went to Amazon.com and he purchased Quran for Dummies. He wanted to brush up on his religion. He bought Quran for Dummies to read while he was going to perform his acts. And they're also anti-intellectual, right? As well as, again, another trend that you'll find is that, and this is dangerous, is that their cause becomes the religion itself. And it's quite dangerous because it's as if they're making the religion, it could be shirk. Because their cause, if you're not with them, it's as if you have no connection to the religion. It doesn't matter what you do. If you're not at that cause, you're not supporting that cause, you don't have no religion. They make the cause the religion itself. And then again, another common thread, pattern, is that they have selective interpretation. Right? They have selective interpretation. They'll take certain verses and ayats and hadith that conform to their ideology, and everything else will be interpreted through those lenses. Right? And then last but not least, is that they have grievances. And a lot of these grievances are valid. We're not saying that there's no injustice that takes place. There's a lot of injustice that takes place. But these grievances justifies their violence. So they say, because we're victims, which is, we're not negating that, we can shed the blood of others. Because we've been wrong, we're justified, just because of that alone, to inflict violence upon others. And that the Prophet ﷺ, look at his hadith, what did he say? He said, إِنَّ مِنَ النَّاسِ مَفَاتِيهُ الْخَيْرِ وَغَالِيقَ الشَّرِّ. Is that from among mankind people, there are those who are keys to good, and they're locks to evil. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَفَاتِيهُ الشَّرِّ وَمَغَالِيقَ الْخَيْرِ. The opposite. And then there's some people that they're keys to evil, and they're locks to goodness. And they said, فَتُوبَى, and it doesn't matter who it is. فَتُوبَى لِمَنْ جَعَلُ اللَّهُ مَفَاتِيهُ الْخَيْرِ. It's general, it's nas. Is that good tidings, glad tidings for the one who is a key to goodness. وَوَيْلٌ لِمَنْ جَعَلُ اللَّهُ مَفَاتِيهُ الشَّرِّ. Is that woe, curse, be to the one who is a key to evil. And that what I want to kind of clarify in this hadith is that this ideology is not valid. And this ideology is not sanctioned. And that if you look at the hadith that talk about this type of ideology, and we'll look at these hadith, is that you'll see that the Prophet ﷺ is very clear about this type of ideology. And it doesn't matter, despite, you'll see this from the hadith as well, is that despite a person's religiosity, how much salah and fasting, is that if they're a key to evil, فَوَيْلٌ لَهُ, that's cursed. Despite how much they pray or fast or how religious they look outwardly, is that if they're key to evil, then فَوَيْلٌ لَهُ, is that they fall underneath this curse. And that the origin of this, one of the origins of this ideology, or this mind frame, was in the Prophet ﷺ's life himself. Is that after the Fath Mecca, the Prophet was distributing wealth, and a man came to the Prophet ﷺ in all audacity, and that they say he was very rough, and he was shaven, his head was shaven, and actually the hadith describes that he had a long beard that was unkept. And that's not to disparage beards. Beards are from the sunnah or even the wajib of Islam, but that's what the hadith describes it. And he came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, "Oh Muhammad." He said, "Muhammad." He didn't even address him with proper terms. And you're not supposed to address the Prophet ﷺ as just Muhammad. It's disrespectful. And he said, "Be just." And he says, "Give me from what Allah has given you and be just." So he said directly to the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet, he got angry. And he said, "Wait, what's wrong with you?" He said, "If I am not just, who's going to show justice after me?" Right? So this person's own religiosity, it even clouded his vision of the Prophet ﷺ himself. And then you find this, from this person, you'll find that what they call the Khawarij, those who left the boundaries, or those who exited the Jama'ah of the Muslims, and they appeared again in the time of Sayyidina Ali. And that Sayyidina Ali, there was war between Sayyidina Ali and another companion, Muawiyah, and he wanted to stop the bloodshed. So he said, "Okay, let's have an arbitrator to stop the bloodshed." And they said, "Oh, you're having an arbitrator? Is this from the Quran? This is kufr." And they quoted the slogan, "La hukma illa lillah." And it's an interesting slogan, even if you look at it in English, it's from Scottish etymology. It means the war cries of the dead. In other words, slogans are they're empty, vacuous statements. But they had this slogan from the Quran, "La hukma illa lillah." You didn't judge according to how Allah according to the Sharia, according to the Quran, yeah, Ali, you're kafir. And they attempted to assassinate 4 of the companions, Muawiyah, and then 2 other companions, and then Ali, and they said they were successful with Ali, is that they assassinated Sayyidina Ali in the masjid while he was praying Fajr. And they say that the person who assassinated him, again, the religiosity, is that he had a sajda mark on his forehead that looked like the knee of a camel. A huge sajda mark on his forehead, and he assassinated Sayyidina Ali. And this is the Khawarij. Okay, so someone might think or say, oh, this is a historic group. It happened, this was a historic event. Is that no, the Prophet ﷺ is teaching us, and he tells us this specific hadith. He says that they will continue to occur until the Dajjal himself appears. And not only that, is that they will be with the Dajjal, the Antichrist. And that this is hadith in Musnad Ahmad, Sahih hadith. كُلَّمَا خَرَجَ مِنْهُمْ قَرْنٌ قُطِعَ. Every time a faction of among them emerge, is that they're cut off. حَتَّى يَخْرُجَ الدَّجَّالِ فِي بَقِيَتِهِمْ. Until the Dajjal emerges with their remnants. So this is not just a historical perspective, but this is an ideology, this is a mind frame, this is the way that they view the world. And that there's no sympathy for these people. There's no sympathy, there's no place that we can't be on the fence about this ideology. Is that there's no sympathy for these people. When you look at the hadith and what the Prophet ﷺ said about these people, let's look at this Sahih hadith. And then you look at the precision of this hadith. That the Prophet, and they say that there's no group in all of the hadith that have been more described than these people. There's approximately 10 or more hadith that describe this specific group. There's no other group that the Prophet delineated in more detail than these people. And look how he described them. The first hadith, يَأْتِي فِي آخِرِ الزَّمَانِ. Again, آخِرِ الزَّمَانِ. It's the end of times. We're not talking about a historical group. It's the end of times. قَوْمٌ حُدَثَاءَ أَسْنَانٍ. Is that they're young in age. They're youngsters. They're youngsters. And where are the shuyukh among these groups? Who are their teachers? There's nobody. Look at the youngsters. Not only youngsters, sufaha al-ahlam, is that they're deficient in their aql. They're fools. That's literally what the hadith says. Sufaha al-ahlam. Al-ahlam are like dreams. They have foolish dreams. Sufaha al-ahlam. They're deficient in their aql. يَقُولُونَ مِنْ خَيْرِ قَوْلِ الْبَرِيَّةِ. They say the words of the best of creation. They can quote Scripture. And then what? يَمْرُقُونَ مِنَ الْإِسْلَامِ كَمَا يَمْرُقُ السَّهْمُ مِنْ الرَّمِيِّ. Is that they will exit through Islam just like how an arrow exits its target. Precise hit will go right through the target. Right? And then لَا يُجَاوِزُ إِيمَانُهُمْ حَنَاجِرَهُم. Is that their iman does not go past their throats. In other words, they don't embody this religion. In other words, it doesn't touch their hearts. It's just all religiosity with no reality. And that's a Sahih hadith, and that's in Bukhari. And then our hadith in Abu Dawood is that سَيَكُونُ فِي أُمَّتِ اخْتِلَافٌ وَفِرَقٌ. Is that there will be these divisions and these splinters and sects in my ummah, in my nation. The Prophet is telling us this. And he says, قَوْمٌ يُحْسِنُونَ الْقِيلَ. Is that there will be a people that they speak very beautifully. يُحْسِنُونَ, they do very well. وَيُسِئُونَ الْفِعْلِ. However, their actions are ugly. يَقْرَؤُونَ الْقُرْآنِ. They read the Quran. لَا يُجَاوِزُ تَرَاقِيهِمْ. They read the Quran, but it doesn't go beyond their throats again. And then the hadith continues, هُمْ شَرُّ الْخَلْقِ وَالْخَلِيقَةِ. Is that the Prophet said that they are the worst of creation. Not my words, I'm not just trying to. هُمْ شَرُّ الْخَلْقِ وَالْخَلِيقَةِ. Is that they are the worst of creation out of all creation. شَرُّ الْخَلْقِ وَالْخَلِيقَةِ. That's emphasis in Arabic language. No. Another hadith, and that this is in Ibn Hibban, it's not as strong as the hadith that we mentioned, nevertheless, that the Prophet said is that what I fear for you is a man who reads the Quran, and then when the splendor of the Quran becomes apparent, and he becomes a supporter of Islam, then he isolates himself. He isolates himself. And then, after a period of time, he comes out, and he attacks his neighbor with his sword, calling him an idolater, calling him a mushrik. And that's why Ibn Umar, what did he say? He said about these people, he said that they're the worst of people, and this is also in Bukhari. Ibn Umar said with this Khawarij, he said that they're the worst of Allah's creation. And then what did he say? إِنَّهُمْ يَنْطَلِقُوا إِلَى آيَاتٍ نَزْلَتْ فِي الْكُفَّارِ فَجَعَلُوهَا عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Is that they take verses that were revealed for mushrikeen and kuffar, for polytheists and disbelievers, and they apply those verses on believers, justifying their killing. They take verses revealed for mushrikeen and they apply them on believers. Na'udhu billah. So, when we see these events that take place, that there should be very clear, is that these ideologies, right, are dangerous ideologies. And these ideologies, what's the closest parable that we can strike to them? Is that the Prophet ﷺ, he compared, what was the example that he gave to this ummah? He said that the ummah is like one body. And as you know, your body, cells, they say that, for example, politics in Islam, there is a place for politics in Islam. But it's one aspect of Islam. It's not the whole. Islam is not a political party. And if that one cell or that one aspect becomes the underlining meaning of all of Islam, then what does it become? It becomes a cancer. It becomes a cancer. And that this is the nature of cancer, is that it grows from healthy bodies, and it mutates, and eventually it destroys that body itself. So may Allah protect us, and may Allah give us understanding, knowledge in this religion. May Allah give us knowledge in this religion. May yufaqqihna fi d-deen. Allah give us knowledge and insight and true understanding of the deen, as Allah and His Messenger intend us to understand the deen. That's what we ask for. When we understand this deen as Allah and His Messenger and the Salaf and the companions and the righteous scholars, they have understood this deen. May Allah give us tawfiq and enable us to do that. Allah Azza wa Jal يقول أو بقول يهتدي المهتدين جل في علا وإذا قرأت القرآن فاستمعوا له وأنصتوا لعلكم ترحمون وقال عز من قائل الكريم فإذا قرأت القرآن فاستعذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله العظيم الكريم لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم. Again, this is from our perspective, one of the analysis, if you will, that we can make is that this is a crisis of knowledge. And that this is an age where people take knowledge from the internet. They don't have. Where is the sanad? Where is the chain of transmission? Where are the teachers that you took it from? That took it from the teachers all the way back to the Prophet ﷺ. And traditionally speaking, this was established. You go to Al-Azhar has its asanid, it has its traditions. You go to Fez, Qaraween, you go to any Islamic institute, they had their chains of transmission. Right? But now where is the knowledge? And I'll end with three things. The first is that So I'll end with these two. So for the people of knowledge, is that this should be clear. Is that the more knowledge that we have, the more clarity. Because knowledge is light, and light gives you clarity. You have to see with light. And that again, I'll end with these two reports. One of them is not a hadith from Ibn Kathir. And look at the preciseness, or look at what he's saying. He says he's talking about this Khawarij. And again, the Khawarij, they're not just a thing of the past. It's an ideology. It's a mind frame. He says, قَوَوْا هَؤُلَاء, is that if they ever gained power, لَأَفْسَدُوا الْأَرْضِ, is that they would corrupt the earth. كُلُّهَا, all of it. Iraqan wa Shaman, in Iraq and Syria. I mean, that's amazing. That look at what he's saying. وَلَمْ يَتْرُكُوا طِفْلًا وَلَا طِفْلًا وَلَا رَجُلًا وَلَا إِمْرَأً, and they wouldn't leave a boy, they wouldn't spare a child, woman, they wouldn't spare a child, whether male or female, or a rajul, or a man, or a woman. They wouldn't spare anybody. Right? Why? لأن الناس عندهم, because people in their view قد فسدوا, is that they're just corrupt. They're kafirs. Right? So they wouldn't even spare a child or a woman. And this is, I mean, look at what's in our tradition. Look at the knowledge. It's Ibn Kathir, Bidayat Nihaya. And then the last report, and this is an amazing, just think about this. Okay, this sanad, this hadith, it's not a sahih hadith. It's not found in the books of the sahih hadith. It's found in the book Kitab al-Fitan, by al-Humaydi. It's quite an early text. It's not a Sahih hadith. The chain of transmission has some errors in it. But look at the meaning. Look at what he's saying. And this is not from the Prophet, it's from Sayyidina Ali. Look what he says. إِذَا رَأَيْتُمْ رَآيَاتِ السُّودَ. This is in the books. This is not something produced a few years ago. When you see the black flags, فَالْزَمُوا الْأَرْض فَلَا تُحَرِّكُوا أَيْدِيَكُمْ وَلَا أَرْجُلَكُمْ. Stay where you are and don't move your hands or your feet. Okay? ثُمَّ يَظْهَرْ قَوْمٌ ضُعَفَاء. Then there will be people that come and that they're weak-minded. لَا يُؤْبَأُهُمْ. They have no consideration. Okay? These people, what's their description? قُلُوبُهُمْ كَالزُّبَرِ الْحَدِيدِ. Is that their hearts are like twisted metal. Okay? هُمْ أَصْحَابُ الدَّوْلَةِ. Is that they are أصحاب الدولة. They are the ones using this word الدولة. لا يفون بأحد ولا ميثاق. Is that they don't honor any covenant or any oaths. They have no honor. يدعون إلى الحق وليسوا من أهله. Is that they call towards the truth and they're not from his people. أسماؤهم الكنى. Is that their names are kunyas. Kunyas is Abu so-and-so, Abu so-and-so. Is that their names are kunyas. That's what acronym in English. وَنِسَبَهُمْ الْقُرَى. And that their ascriptions are cities. Right? Baghdad, Iraq. Their ascriptions is cities. Right? And traditionally you have, if you say Shafi'i, Maliki, their ascriptions is the cities. Now, وَالشُّعُورُهُمْ مُرْخَاتٌ كَشُعُورَ النِّسَاءِ. Is that their hair flows is long like the hair of women. حتى, and then they will continue to be prevalent, حتى يخلفون فيما بينهم, until they start to have internal fights between themselves. Right? They will just, in other words, they'll consume themselves. ثم يؤتي الله الحق من يشاء. Then Allah will give the truth to whoever He wills. SubhanAllah. This is not. I'm not getting this from my pocket. You'll find this in the books, and this is what Sayyidina Ali said. And again, going back to what I was mentioning earlier, is that the Khawarij, is that they're very clear, and it's an ideology, and it's a mind frame, and it's a very dangerous and destructive mind frame. And what sin can be worse than making something beautiful ugly? What sin can be worse than making people have a complete hatred for Islam? What sin can be worse than making people be completely disinterested in Islam? Right? We know that there's atrocities that are taking place in the Muslim world, but these countries are not harming the name of Islam. But when people do things like this in the name of Islam, is that how many people are they misguiding? How many people are saying, Muslims do that, I'll never be Muslim? How many people are they misguiding? What sin can be worse than making something beautiful? Islam is beautiful. Making it ugly in people's minds. Na'udhu billah. So may Allah give us understanding in this religion. And may Allah enable us to see the truth as it is, and to see falsehood as it is, and to grant us ijtinaba, to grant us to avoid it, abstinence from things that are false. May Allah accept from us and bless us in the remaining portions of Sha'ban, and let us reach Ramadan في خير اللطف وعافية. واعلموا يا عباد الله أن الله أمرنا بأمر بدأ فيه بنفسه وثنى بالملائكة يصلون بالقدس وقال إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد عبدك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على سيدنا محمد عبدك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم أعز الإسلام وانصر المسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام وانصر المسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام وانصر المسلمين. اللهم كن لإخواننا المسلمين في مشارق الأرض ومغاربها. اللهم اغفر لنا وللمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات مغفرة ظاهرة وباطنة سرا وعلانية لا تغادر لنا ذنبا ولا نكتسب بعدها خطيئة ولا إثما. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر. وأقيموا الصلاة.